Hello and welcome back. Get ready for an exciting journey full of bravery, friendship, and fireworks. This is the story of Mulan, a courageous girl who disguises herself as a soldier to protect her father and ends up saving all of China. Along the way, she meets a funny little dragon named Mushu and a lucky cricket named Cri-Kee, who help her prove that even the smallest heroes can do big things. A long time ago, a Chinese emperor ordered his soldiers to build a wall to protect against the evil enemies of the Xiongnu people who were attacking his vast empire. Centuries passed, and each new emperor continued to extend this wall until it reached a length of several thousand kilometers. Winding through the cliffs like a dragon, the wall protected the Chinese people from their enemies. In those days, a worthy son had to become a brave soldier and a worthy daughter, a good wife and daughter-in-law. That morning, when our story begins, a girl named Mulan took a bath and let the servants dress her, do her hair, and put on makeup before her meeting with the matchmaker. Mulan's future marriage depended on this meeting, so she was very nervous. Mulan's mother took a carved comb and lovingly placed it in her daughter's hair. "There, now you're ready," she said. "Not quite," interrupted the grandmother. With those words, she tied a tiny, funny little insect in a cage to Mulan's dress. "This cricket, named Cri-Kee, will bring you good luck." At last, it was time for Mulan to meet the matchmaker. But despite all her preparations, the poor girl still couldn't manage to impress her. And to top it all off, the cricket escaped from the cage and frightened the matchmaker so much that she fell into the fireplace and set her dress on fire. Terrible misfortune. Engulfed in flames, the matchmaker ran out of the house, screaming, "Put me out! Put me out!" Grabbing a teapot, Mulan rushed after her. She poured tea on the matchmaker, extinguishing the flames. "Disgrace!" the matchmaker yelled. "You will never be a worthy daughter to your parents, even if you were 1,000 times more beautiful." Mulan returned home, but couldn't bring herself to tell her father what had happened. Taking her horse Khan, she led him to the watering place. Her father, seeing how unhappy his daughter was, guessed that the meeting with the matchmaker hadn't gone well. While Khan drank, Mulan looked at her reflection in the water and wondered whether she could ever become a good wife and a worthy daughter. Then she quietly returned to the garden and sat on a bench. Her father came up and sat down beside her. Mulan's father was very gentle and did everything he could to cheer up his daughter. He pointed to a bud that hadn't yet opened on a tree and said, "How beautifully the trees are blooming this year. Only this flower is a bit late. But I'd bet that when it blossoms, it will be the most beautiful of all." The girl was just starting to calm down when she and her father suddenly heard loud drumming. Mulan climbed up onto the garden wall to see what was going on. All the villagers had gathered around the emperor's advisor, Fu. He announced that the Huns had invaded China and the emperor had ordered one man from each family to be conscripted into the Chinese army. That same evening, Mulan secretly watched her father practicing with a sword. The sight upset her greatly. Her father had not yet recovered from an injury received in the last war. On top of that, he was no longer young. Mulan realized that he would not survive another war. In the morning, Mulan's father was supposed to report to the army. While he was sleeping, the girl sneaked into her parents' bedroom and took the scroll with the conscription order. In its place, she left her comb as a sign of love. Then she cut her hair with her father's sword. Mulan was determined to save her father's life by taking his place in the army. She hoped that her short hair and her father's armor would help her hide her secret from the other soldiers. Mounting Khan, Mulan rode out into the pouring rain and left her father's home. When Mulan's parents found out what she had done, they were terribly upset. In those days in China, it was considered a crime for a girl to disguise herself as a man and join the army. If Mulan's secret had been discovered, she would have been executed. Mulan's grandmother couldn't find peace and kept praying to the ancestors to help her granddaughter. Hearing her prayers, Mulan's ancestral spirits gathered in the family temple to decide how they could help the girl. They argued and argued until a little dragon named Mushu volunteered to go help her. Mushu had once been a guardian, but he had been demoted due to lack of experience, and now he wanted another chance to prove himself. But the ancestors didn't trust the little dragon. They wanted to send the strongest of the guardians to help Mulan, and so they instructed Mushu to awaken the great stone dragon. Mushu climbed onto the stone dragon and struck his gong with all his might, but the poor guy wasn't lucky even this time. Instead of awakening the dragon, the gong strike turned him to dust. Only the head of the mighty giant remained. "Oh no, they're going to kill me," wailed Mushu. And then he heard a strange sound. It was the cricket Cri-Kee, who came to ask Mushu himself to go after the girl. Mushu decided to follow Mulan and turn her into a hero instead of just bringing her home. That way, he would earn forgiveness and become a guardian once again. Little Mushu and Cri-Kee set off for the mountains, where Mulan would have to learn how to handle weapons and other warrior skills. Mushu appeared before her as a huge shadow on the rock. The little dragon wanted Mulan to think he was big, wise, and powerful. But Mulan quickly realized that Mushu was a very small dragon. Still, he managed to convince her that he could help. She didn't object. She knew she could use all the help she could get. Upon arriving at the camp, Mulan tried to act as tough as the other soldiers. But it ended in a brawl between Yao, Ling, and Qianpo. The fight escalated, and soon all the soldiers were involved. When their captain Shang arrived and tried to find out who had started it, everyone pointed at Mulan. The next day, Shang began training the soldiers so they would be ready to fight the Huns. During the training, he shot an arrow to the top of a tall pole and told Yao to retrieve it. Before that, the captain had tied a heavy bronze disc to each of his wrists. One disc is strength, the other is discipline. You'll need both to get to the arrow. One by one, the soldiers fell off the pole. Mulan couldn't reach the arrow either. A few days later, when it seemed like Mulan would never become a good soldier, she suddenly managed to overcome a difficult challenge. Tying the two weights together, she used them to climb the pole. The other soldiers applauded her cleverness and also began to feel more confident. Soon, Mulan and her comrades had the chance to put their newly acquired skills to use. The Hun soldiers, led by the evil Shan Yu, ambushed them at the mountain pass. Although Shang and his soldiers fought bravely, the enemy forces were too numerous. Defeat seemed inevitable. "Aim the last cannon at Shan Yu," commanded Captain Shang. But then Mulan had an idea. She noticed the snow on the mountain under which the enemies had gathered, and instead of following the order, she fired at the mountain. Just as Mulan expected, the explosion caused a massive avalanche. Shan Yu rushed at the girl with a sword as he saw who had fired the cannon. After hitting her, he and several other Huns tried to escape the avalanche, but they failed. Within minutes, they were all buried under the snow. By disobeying Shang's order, Mulan saved the lives of the captain, the soldiers, and defeated the enemies. "You are the bravest warrior I have ever seen, and I owe you my life," said Shang. "Now I trust you." Mulan was very proud of herself, but Shan Yu had wounded her, and her strength was rapidly leaving her. Swaying, she lost consciousness. Mulan was taken to a doctor. While he was bandaging the wound, he discovered Mulan's secret. The brave soldier was actually a girl, he told Shang, who was shocked by the revelation. "My name is Mulan," the girl told Shang. "I did it to save my father." Sadly, they both knew that such deception was punishable by death. Mulan was taken outside to be executed. But she had saved the life of Shang and his soldiers. The captain couldn't bring himself to kill her. "A life for a life," he said, and threw his sword beside her. Then he left her in the mountains and, together with the remaining soldiers, went to the capital to report to the emperor about the defeat of the Hun army. Mulan was very unhappy, but Mushu managed to cheer her up. "In the end," the little dragon smirked, "you did it out of love for your father, and I did it out of selfishness." And Mushu promised to be by her side when she returned home and to speak with her father together. But the friends were accidentally given troubling news. Mulan learned that Shan Yu and 5 of his best soldiers had survived and were heading to the capital, to the emperor's palace. The girl decided that she needed to go to the capital to warn of the danger. Mushu really didn't want to go with her, but suddenly he realized he couldn't leave her. They had started this mission together, and they would finish it together. Mulan found Shang and her comrades in the capital, where they were being honored as heroes. When Mulan warned the captain that the Huns were alive and might have already reached the capital, he coldly replied, "And why exactly should I believe you?" When Shang was called to bow before the emperor, 5 Huns suddenly jumped out of a parade dragon and captured the ruler. Dragging him into the palace, they slammed the doors shut. Mulan understood she had to get inside. But how could she do that? Then Mulan had an idea. They could fool the enemies if she and her soldier friends disguised themselves as women. Together with Shang, the disguised soldiers climbed the palace columns just like they used to climb the training pole for the arrow. Inside the palace, Shan Yu's men noticed them, but didn't consider them dangerous. To break through to the top of the tower, where Shan Yu was holding the emperor, Mulan and her comrades had to fight their way up. "Bow down before me," shouted Shan Yu. But the Chinese emperor had never knelt before anyone. Just then, Shang burst into the tower with his loyal warriors. Mulan ordered Qianpo to grab a piece of cloth, wrap up the emperor, and lower him down. Then she lured Shan Yu onto the roof, where Mushu fired a firework at him. Shan Yu couldn't dodge it and flew straight into a tower full of fireworks. The grateful emperor took off his pendant, took the sword of the defeated Shan Yu, and presented them to Mulan. "When your family sees this pendant, they'll know you saved the life of the emperor," he said. "And when they see this sword, the whole world will know you saved China." And then a miracle happened. The Chinese emperor bowed to Mulan as a sign of respect. The emperor wanted the girl to become a member of his council, but she decided to return home. There, Mulan was greeted by her entire family. Their faces glowed with joy and pride. Soon, an unexpected guest arrived. Shang came to return her father's helmet. At least, that's what he said. But the girl knew what he really felt and interrupted his awkward explanations by inviting him to dinner. Shang happily agreed. Mulan's family looked happily at the brave warriors. Mushu's pride also knew no bounds, for the ancestors had restored his title as guardian. And the little dragon believed it was well deserved. After all, he had brought Mulan home safe and sound. And even if he wasn't a hero, he was certainly her faithful companion. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.